So it's 7:35, we'll say. We'll call the Wastewater Management District Commission February 8th, 2023 meeting to order via Zoom. We are being recorded. The agenda and how to get into the public meeting were all posted on the town website with the announcement and the agenda. And this is Mike Gittin participating via Zoom.
Ted Levine participating remotely.
Okay. We can start with public comment. Do we have any public comment?
Hi, Mike. There is no public comment.
Thank you. How about we move down to an update on Alta River's Edge? What do you think of that?
Makes sense.
Sure. So occupancy right now, it's up to about 35%. The DEP checklist, there were really sort of two rounds of questions, and the only thing that remains unanswered from the DEP's point of view is the ductbill, putting the ductbill on the end of that outfall pipe. It is a work in progress. It is coming, I think. Tate and Howard has done their design-related work, and they ran it by us, and it was okay. It looked fine. So anyway, they've sent it to RJV for a price quote, and we're waiting to hear back about that. But as soon as I know more, I can let the commission know and let the DEP know. But everything else on the DEP checklist has been answered.
Right. When do we have to? Do you know when we have to do the first sampling? And we do that, or Alta, of the wells that are out there?
Whitewater's done the first set of sampling for the monitoring wells.
Okay. Do we have to report that to anyone, or we just hang on to that data?
I'm pretty sure they report it with the groundwater discharge.
Oh, is there a separate DMR type report that goes into the state?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes to the DEP because of the groundwater permit. Yes.
And is that Whitewater doing that also? Is that included with the last report they did? Or is it, we haven't started yet?
So I think because we started sending flow on January 4th, I think it was, it will be on their January report. It should be on their January report.
Okay. Have we seen that one yet? Do you know?
No, not yet.
Okay. I got used to the old report. I just looked at it briefly, so I'll look at the next one a little more carefully.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anything else on that? I think if I'll fill Darren's role, I think I can remember. I can't quote the percentages like him, but we're a little below what we had hoped as far as selling use to them, but not much.
We expected around 50% as of December 30th, 31st.
Okay. How about the move on to the operating report?
Really nothing worth noting other than the Train 2 had their membranes, the old membranes removed and the new ones were put in, and they're running beautifully. Kubota, signed off that they were installed correctly and running as they should when their rep left, and they continue to just run at great numbers. Exactly what we're looking for.
Okay.
Does the I know that I think there was an email that was sent out. There's a monthly report for December that goes from Jared to Mark. I think it's in the in an email that went out. So it does identify over the course of the last month or so what what has been accomplished.
Okay.
It was sent to all board members.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you have any questions or if you wanted to reference that, Jared, when you're speaking to this, but if there's no questions, that's fine.
No, I, I do just related to operation. And thank you, Jane and Jared, for communicating with me on a Saturday or Sunday. The alarm for the what do we call that pump station? The
effluent dosing pump station.
Yeah, and thank you. And Tom explained that that was reacting to river water coming in, and the two things. Just one suggestion is when I was saying sign, I was saying more. If this alarm's going off, is there a number people could call, or someone could call that would just report it? I don't know how, if Whitewater runs a call-in number or how that works, or even for the police, if they know if they see it and are wondering what to do.
Well, I have supplied the fire department with all the information for our pump stations and our treatment plant.
Yeah.
So they know how to get a hold of us, and also Eversource and National Grid if needed. I believe this was not a SCADA item, was it, Jared? Or was it? And so the alarm was being recognized?
So there is the possibility of enabling the alarm. It was not enabled, and I'm only assuming that it was not enabled because of something like this, of just the river being high enough to cause an alarm. But it is possible to attach that and have that call out when that happens.
Mainly so it could be silenced.
Yeah.
Because I just so the public or the police officer on duty doesn't get unnecessarily concerned that there's something wrong.
Yeah.
There's something to consider. And in March, I realized, I think I've been on the committee 3 or so years. It's time for a formal tour, because I did not realize that the discharge is kind of behind Russell's on that side of into the river. Is that correct? Somewhere in there.
It's across the street from where the pump is, pretty much, I think.
Yeah.
The effluent pump.
Yeah. So in my mind, I thought it was somewhere else. And at that time, we can look at plans and someone can explain how the flow from the treatment plant overcomes the flow up the river. And I do have one question though. Does that mean that when we cycle on to the Alta field, we don't know whether it's river water or effluent?
So there is an option during high river level times. We can manually close the valve to the effluent dosing pump station and just keep it from taking in any effluent for a time. You could do that.
But I think what I'm hearing is, we don't know. We could be pumping river water to the absorption field at Alta, like we have been. If it was cycling now, we were pumping river water.
A mix, yeah. Well, we were checking some things with Tate and Howard about just that, and he said, he said when surcharged, the pump station will include a mix of effluent and river water.
Okay. Considering that we're still in low water, I find that very interesting. So, but I didn't design the system. Okay.
Mike, do you want to walk through, because we can bring Darren up to speak quickly, but I think it'll be a little more time consuming if you and Jane want to walk through your edits just to explain some justification. And then when he joins in the next 10 minutes, we can just catch him up briefly.
That sounds good. So we can jump up to the privilege fee?
No, to the newsletter to the users.
Oh, the newsletter. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't hear your beginning. I actually sent, I was trying to find that.
Jane, are you able to put that up on screen?
I think it's coming.
Do you have the version that, Mike, did you only send that to me?
I only sent it to you. Yeah,
Oh,
I think.
Okay. I didn't realize that. Hold on. Jane, can I send you a version to put up on screen?
No, maybe Mike can put it up on screen because I'm using like a different computer and stuff.
Yeah,
You'd have to send it to my husband's computer, so don't put up the one that we have. Okay.
Yeah, Mike made some edits on top of your edits.
Let me So we're seeing the one downfall. It is nice to meet remotely. Dinner wasn't as rushed, but if we were sitting around a table, I would have already looked at my paper copy.
Right. We passed it around.
Yeah. So I'll be with you in a moment. Sorry.
Take your time.
And I don't know if anyone's upgraded to Windows 11 yet. They've gone more icon based.
Oh, really?
I still haven't figured out what all the icons mean. I also need to send it from one computer to the other, but I don't have as much open. No, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, I think it'll be good to share information with folks once the three of us are on the same page.
I think our little sleepy committee is getting a lot of attention, and I think it will be helpful.
Tom, have you had a chance to look at this yet, or will you be seeing this for the first time?
Nope. I saw a version. I think it was the first one that you had sent Jane maybe a week or so ago. So I took a peek at it. I know you were, your first inclination was to have Jane populate it with some of the factual information, some of the figures that were pertinent and all of that. Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I saw, and I wasn't sure if it's the intent of the board, is that it had an informal, kind of format, and perhaps that's your, your goal is to keep it more layman's terms and to have it more informal rather than a kind of a white paper type of a thing. So
I follow you, and I think that there's probably a way, and I was going to make a couple further edits to thread the needle. I think you're thinking of language like icing on the cake, maybe.
Yeah, those types of things. Yeah. And if that's the intent, if you wanted to keep it light and more,
I take your point. I was going back and forth, but I think especially since it's our first newsletter, we could err on the side of a little bit more formality. So I can make style tweaks like that. I just want to make sure I have all of the substance right first. That's important to me, and then I can tweak the style.
I'm having email problems myself here. I don't know what's going on. I need to send it to myself, and I'm unable to do that for some reason.
Do you want me to email it?
Can you put it up, Doug? Do you have Mike's changes and you can put it up?
I have the most recent version. I can't send it to you, Jane, because I have you guys up on an iPad right now, and I'm
and I didn't want to announce my husband's Gmail on.
Do you want to text it to me?
I can't open up. I can't open up our Microsoft email on my home computer because it corrupts it kicks me off other portals.
Can you send it to Tom?
Yeah.
Is that okay, Tom? Will that work if he sends it to you?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. There I go.
Sent, Tom.
All right. Let me.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my email. It's not working. I do I do think there's a big misconception in the public about what are we do, and that's
Yeah.
what also I did just send a little note to Jane and Tom saying we really need to get someone to help us update our website because it has a lot of out of date and incorrect information, and kind of create an archive and get the more current. It showed up.
So working for you, Tom?
Yeah, I'm just clicking on it now. It took me a moment to get out of the Zoom here.
Well, I now have it. If
okay, go for it.
So I think you need to stop sharing. Whoever it's sharing, is that Tom, Jane?
Not yet, not me.
Jane.
I did stop sharing. I don't have a green box. Are you seeing the agenda?
No.
No, we just see a Zoom page.
Yeah, I think you're still sharing.
Who, me?
Yeah, we see a Zoom page and then a bunch of,
there we go. It's gone. Yep.
That's better. Okay. Now.
That's what I was trying to remove. I'm like, why can I not remove this? Yeah.
And I just realized, and I don't know if we have, I don't know if I have sharing capabilities. I do not see it. Oh, there it is. Got it. They need to standardize this stuff, huh?
Paul was really good at it. Can we hire him just for managing
just share screen?
Yeah, I use Teams at work, and there's just
we do too.
They're similar enough that yeah.
All right. So, I think it might be helpful if you want to walk us through your edits and comments, Mike, and then Jane, as we can just hit yours as we're going along.
Yeah, I think some of mine were on the side of trying to make it a little more
reader friendly,
formal. Also,
sure.
Let's see.
Okay, just a thought, guys. Nobody knows who this is coming from.
Yeah,
I'm almost thinking like an intro paragraph. The Wastewater Management District Commission has put together a newsletter to let you know where we're at, and then trying to just keep things in a positive sense.
Yeah.
Saying some of these things like, starting off with things that might not necessarily be positive is, we want to keep things that will make sure that people don't all of a sudden decide to call us and say, well, if you don't have enough flow, what's going on, and things like that,
I can take a crack when we wrap up the meeting and we'll circulate it. I'll take a crack at a couple of introductory sentences. I think that's a good idea.
Like where it says in the third sentence, at less than optimal capacity, I think we're opening ourselves up for trouble. Just a thought, maybe just keep it a little more positive.
Well, I actually, Jane, I think we're getting more. I think we need that because this is what I'm hearing from various parties is how come you're not releasing more, and what changed to allow you to release more? So I think the fact that we're not operating at optimal capacity, we could change it again, but that's why people keep asking, you have an 82,000 gallon per day permit. Okay, the engineer said somewhere between 65 and 75. Why aren't we going right to 65? So it all has to do with that. We haven't seen it operate, but I think that thought's important. That's why I didn't take it out, but you could stew on that, Doug. How's that?
Yeah, I can maybe just soften it somehow.
Yeah, just
okay.
And I'm not sure, I haven't read this new version, but people don't really know what capacity is, what is effluent, what some of these terms, operating efficiencies.
Well, I think I changed some of those.
Yeah.
But
maybe change capacity like flow or something like that, or.
And there's a treatment plant's permitted capacity.
Mike, I'm curious about your edit in the paragraph that starts also by connecting to Alta Oxbow, and that you struck the sentence, given that we're able to discharge more than Alta Oxbow will be putting into the overall system. Is that just information you think that users don't need to be aware of?
Because we can handle that under our 52,000. As we already know, because we're increasing, because that's why
you wrote that comment to the 82,000 gallons per day.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
And that's why it is a fact, but we could accept them without it.
Okay.
The real reason is it closes out the consent order to have have additional backup capacity, but that's too much.
Yeah. We don't have to go to that level of weed.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I like your edits to the paragraph that starts for current users. Those were all helpful.
Yeah.
Hold on. Darren here?
Yeah. I see him.
He's coming in.
7:55. So what does operating efficiencies mean? Are we talking revenue and expenses, the treatment plant? What is?
We're talking about the plant.
So should it say the plant's operating efficiencies? Because at first I thought it was a money thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
so you have an issue with the word efficiencies. You operating.
Well, I'm not sure whether it's revenue from operating or treatment plant operating. So it's the operation of the treatment plant is what you're talking about here.
The plant, right?
Yeah. So maybe you need to throw the word treatment plant in there.
Yeah, I'm making edits as we talk.
Facility, we call it a facility.
Okay, our facilities. Darren, we're just going through the newsletter that we're going to send off to users. Jane and Mike had some edits, so we're walking through those. And then I'm going to take a crack at revising it one more time, and I'll send it to Jane and Tom, and they can send it to you guys to take another look. Jane, if this went out with the quarterly billing, what would the timeline on that be?
That's the end of March. So probably the third or fourth week in March.
Oh, so we could even put this back up on the screen then for our March meeting.
Yes, we could.
To finalize it. Okay. Okay. Jane, what were you writing in your comment? The numbers below may not support your comment.
Well, what you had originally there, you were saying that everything was, that we were having savings. And if you look at the numbers, as Mike or somebody had changed it, the base charge is flat, but we went up in the other two tiers.
Yeah.
So there's no savings really there other than the base charge, and that's flat. So I thought it should just maybe word it a little differently.
Oh, and that's what
they go up from 501 to 526 and 1502 to 1577. And we can't, FY24 we can't do yet.
So do you think Mike's language modifications there address that?
I actually, yeah.
It's better. Yes.
Okay.
We got to get rid of FY24 because we don't have those numbers yet.
Yeah, I saw that. I also will need in that paragraph to spell out what FY is because we struck it from the beginning. So I'll write out fiscal year the first time we use it.
Or maybe at the beginning where it says Happy New Year, fiscal year 2023, because it's not a calendar year. The first sentence.
I wouldn't, then you got to define. Yeah.
You think it's getting too much into the
I think it's getting too detailed.
But we're definitely not a calendar year. That's
no, but in that context, I think that's what. Yeah,
I think it works, Jane, by spelling it out later in this paragraph that we're talking about, because it says Alta Oxbow began phased opening in late 2022 or beginning of fiscal year 2023.
Yeah,
so people have a better sense then because you're explaining different timeline.
Perfect.
I did have a thought just also because we don't know where a lot of our audience are coming from. There's some people saying we don't want increased capacity. We don't want any more thing. So I think this is a fact. if you go to the paragraph before where in parentheticals you write, which built the leach field on site, which is now being utilized by the entire system, and it eliminated the need, something to acknowledge that we were under an order to get our own backup in, which we've never done. Is that true? I can't remember the exact wording of that consent order, but we drew up plans to put in a leach field behind the town building.
So you think we should make mention of that?
I don't know. It might be too much detail.
I feel like we are throwing a lot of information at people here.
I'm done. I'll move on.
I mean, a big picture thought was to use bullets. These, thanks, now that we have Alta, bang, 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 this is the benefits we have from Alta without going into a lot of words. Just a thought.
It's possible. I mean, it's not the longest document to begin with. It's only a page and a half. Yeah, and I was thinking of making it kind of more of a letter format. And then at the end, we can put our names so they know we are the Wastewater Management District Commission.
And I have wastewater letterhead. We would probably put it on as well.
Yeah.
Okay. On page 2, Jane, where it says see next page, I think what I could just do there is I'm going to include a link to the planning board website, because I think that they're starting to populate information about Route 20 master planning. And if any users are curious about it, that's where information will be housed. Or so I am informed by the chair of EDC. And Mike, I know you've gone to an initial meeting with the planning board, and we're going to talk about that at some point tonight. But I think that would be helpful for the users to have a place to go to gather more information about what's about potentially going to happen along the corridor.
Yeah. Well, that's why I put, I be frank, based on what I've heard.
Yeah.
If everyone who is speculating on what they wanted to do,
yeah,
we could not, we would not make a significant dent in that.
Because of capacity.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would take more than what our plant could handle.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel strongly about, we should just say, just provides ability.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll take a crack at a few more edits. I'll send it to Jane and Tom, and then they'll take first glance at it and then send it to you guys for final comment.
And I think this will be helpful. And I think us finalizing our policy, because the beta group that's been engaged, we talked about it last meeting, and it's in the notes. I did participate, and I gave a high level overview of what we are, putting the meat behind in that policy. That was all news to them, and a lot of people that I've spoken to, it's news to them that there's what's going on, and they keep asking for. They don't understand how we work or our limitations. People have the feeling it's just we could handle everything, and that we haven't thought about what we can handle.
So we have an education element.
Yes. So this is good.
Okay.
So Darren, Doug, Mike has suggested under the numbers for the rates to maybe label it 100 cubic feet somewhere, because the rates are in 100 cubic feet.
Under the rates.
So cost for users, base charge, tier 1, tier 2.
Yeah.
Those are 100 cubic feet.
Okay.
So those are the numbers get multiplied by the usage in 100 cubic feet.
Okay.
And then tonight, if you could, I need to have this copy that you presented here, just as is, so I can put that in the minutes. And then, once we have the new one, we'll work on that. So that'll be good.
Yeah. All right. I'll forward you the one we're working on tonight.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'll take it from here. I appreciate your guys taking a look at it and your input. This is helpful. I knew I'd be off base on some things. So I appreciate you guiding me in the right direction. I'll take another crack and I'll send it back so we can try to finalize it and get it out the door.
Yeah, this is what it will look like roughly, a little over a page.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at the numbers.
And Doug, the initial draft of this, when did this get sent to us, the initial draft? I realize your revised got to go to Jane and Tom first, right? And then they'll send it. But where was the initial?
I sent it out earlier in a couple of emails.
Okay.
It was like Friday or Saturday. I can't remember. Thursday.
I know I was trying to look for it. And I was preparing for my big trip here. So let me try to find it. Okay.
So this is a new version that does not correlate with the one that I sent. This is new tonight from Doug.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my comments and Jane's combined.
Got it.
All right, Jane, I'm sending it to you now.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
But I will send an updated version in the coming days.
I'm going to stop sharing that.
Thank you.
Do you want to go to the policy?
You're going to see me walking around because I'm actually getting kicked out of the office I'm in. So I'll be walking as I talk here or look.
Yeah. Okay. So, great. The privilege fee.
That's what I thought I clicked. Hold on.
Yep, you had it there.
I did? All right, great.
Yep.
Let me do it again. I've got like 20 schedules here. We sort of privilege fee policy. Oh, it's over here. Okay, great.
Yep, we're seeing it now.
Yeah. And our goal is to finalize this tonight, right?
Yes, please.
Good. Because this is what the beta group wants it. The public is looking for this.
Yeah, this will be extremely handy to have to be able to distribute to folks that are asking, and inquiring as to status and where we're at, what our capacity is, what we're able to accommodate. So this is going to be very helpful. So I think in essence, from the last meeting, there was a whole handful of edits, some grammatical, some formatting. All of those changes, those edits were made. Jane and I took a crack at it. We, made some adjustments based upon the remarks that were made at the last meeting. And so what you see here tonight, and probably what was emailed a little bit earlier, is the result of that. I do know that there was some questions about some of the flow values that were in some portions of this, and I know Jane and Mike, you've been going back and forth on that. So there may be a couple of figures that need to be ironed out, but aside from that, hopefully this is very close to what what was thought of at our next meeting.
The big thing that was done, I think it was like sections 3 and 4. We summarized them some more and consolidated some of the information. Have people had a chance to look at this, or?
Jane, I had already looked. I looked at it, right?
Yep, he's looked at it.
Okay.
I think it's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Do you want me to let me know if you want me to scroll or anything?
My first question or discussion is on the embedded table.
Do you want me to go down?
Unless Darren needs more time.
Are you reading, Darren?
Yeah. Oh, go up the embedded table. You went past right here. It's more, keep in mind, we have a lot of eyes on us. And we're going to question our logic. What I was saying about the numbers is for Alta, we're not using 50% of their Title V or agreed to design flow. We're using 20,000 gallons based on the design, that 50% and professional opinion. So we got to be careful when we say we always do 50%. And that's some of the other edits I made later, or I'm suggesting even to.
It says right there, Alta estimate at 100% occupancy for 3 buildings.
No, I understand, but later in the document, we say many times we use 50% of the design flow, and that's later, I think, why some of the numbers don't add up. It's due to that.
We could add an except Alta kind
of.
Yeah,
no, I'm just saying, but that's where some of my edits, and that's, I think in the last section, that's where the break occurs, because we start looking at the numbers in the aggregate and they don't add up. So we can get back, just remember that.
Okay. So let's see, does anybody have any questions on the schedule here? The footnotes basically didn't change here.
I did, once again, I couldn't put comments in that. That table was uncommentable.
Yeah, because the only way to move it from the Excel spreadsheet was as a picture. Otherwise, everything gets all messed up.
I don't even remember, to be frank, because let's see.
I think you had a couple comments and we included them.
Okay.
We made any adjustments. We changed, like, wording here and there and things like that.
Yeah. It's my same comment as before. I had trouble following how we carried the 10,000 gallons. It comes and goes. So as long as it makes sense to others.
I think it stays consistent, Mike, if you could show me where.
Well, once again, it made sense when I put the comment in, but I couldn't point to where it was.
Okay.
Let me read what I was saying. I guess it was the last sentence. And I think as a committee, this reads,
up on the note.
No, the last sentence of the last.
Sorry, I was talking on mute. It's that last sentence, right where you had it down below.
Yeah. No, actually, the last sentence of the yeah. Oh, you had it. I can't.
No, it was down below this.
Footnote number 5.
Yes.
The last sentence of note number 5.
There's a plan for actual flow to exceed 65. The plan will be analyzed and additional capital investment will be required.
I thought,
I thought it was further down, Mike.
Okay. Well, maybe.
I'll go slow. Just tell me when to stop.
Keep going. If additional capacity exists, then the district could consider allowing the allocating flow. Previously, mass step approval was required. Is that the part, Mike?
No. I'll move on. It's minor. This is a different thought, but yeah. So the public has multiple times reached out and said, "Are you sure your act allows you to do this?" And I, again, am wondering if we need to get just an opinion from town council that the act done in whatever, 19 whatever, has been, those requirements have been altered by the role of the Board of Health and the change of regs that we now have.
You're talking about the Enabling Act?
Yep.
It's kind of the next section, but so what I've done is I emailed all the information in Paul's comments and your comments to Tie-in Bond, And I'm waiting to hear back from Ian Catlow. I had asked him to respond, but by tonight, but I think they're pretty swamped over there. So as soon as I have that information, I think they're more aware of what the different, like the.
Yeah, I would say unless they can point to a policy written by the DEP, I would ask what does it hurt to say, we have had people send the act to us multiple times saying you may be violating this. And time bond, unless they could pull a DEP policy that came out when the reg was changed in 2014 that says those type of statements are no longer valid. I think we need someone that is familiar with the framework in the life of enabling acts to give us an opinion, like our town council.
So I emailed Paul also, and he sent me back a policy number 314 CMR7 that was done in 2014. And that's the one that references to the letter we always talk about. And I read through it, but I couldn't see what we're looking for in there.
That's the regulation.
Right.
So unless it says specifically all authorities previously doled out to Mass DEP under enabling acts, I mean, is it a cost issue? Isn't that what town council's for?
Yeah, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Mike could forward a question to Cherry, who is our liaison to the select board, who has access to town council, and she should be able to just have this responded to.
Yeah,
I don't think this is a big lift.
No, it's not. I mean, an alternative to that would be if I have that ability to, it would go through John Bugby. Same thing, and we do this regularly. So if it's okay with you, Mike, if you want to just craft, the question to me in an email, and I will forward that off. And I'm just trying to think. I'm going to need to get my hands on, some of the documentation for KP Law to use as a reference. I'm sure the Enabling Act would be one of them. We're thinking about this change in regulations in 2014 that impacts this whole, jurisdictional item. So if in your question, if you could at least, or if you could identify, some documents that you think would be helpful for me to compile and also include with my request to KP Law, that would be good.
No,
I sent some of those today.
Yeah, I have both the Enabling Act and 314 CMR 7. And maybe, as I said, Time Bomb might say, oh yeah, this came up. You're not the only one. And the DEP wrote a policy on it.
Yeah, that's precise. So we figured we would start with those guys because they've got a pretty strong background in this. So we figured, Jane, send something off them as just as a first take on this to see what they came back with. And I think it was our intention to follow up with KP Law. But I think as we're talking through, please forward on that question. Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next section, this is the statement, Jane, that I was talking about. The 53518, that doesn't take into account that the Alta being handled a little differently.
What do you mean?
The second bullet there?
Yeah.
The 53518 ties to the...
I know, but the note is a little misleading. It's not 50%. It's 50% for everyone but Alta. That's what I was getting at. So...
And so what would you do? You would add average actual use and 50% Title V based upon district experience and Alta at
something like that.
Well, see, the problem, that whole section is actuals 50% and Alta. So the first numbers are, so it's a combination of different things. That's why it's estimated an actual flow. But
how about this? How about this? You just get rid of that note and say, see total estimated flow on page 2.
Yeah, I agree. I was about to say the same thing. Why not just take it out and just say refer to
whatever that section is. That's what I was getting. That was what. Yeah. Thank you.
How's that?
Perfect.
Ah, shoot. Okay. So now this next section that's in pink, Tom and I worked on these two, this paragraph and the second paragraph, and we combined it from everything from here where it says important values. That's what was there before all of this. So we hope that it covers what you guys were thinking of saying here, but in a more succinct manner.
I read the part that you have on the screen here when you were talking about that. I thought flowed very well and is exactly what we were saying.
And okay.
I don't know about the rest of it. I mean, but that
and then
part
this
right
paragraph here, starting with the following assumptions.
Yeah, that works. I just get, can you, what is being deleted? Is it from
everything,
where?
the next paragraph, can you see my cursor here?
Yeah, why you just, yeah,
everything
okay.
from here all the way down to here.
Okay, that's what I wasn't 100% sure.
All of this pink right here.
Okay.
Because we've already stated that above this one section. Because
some of the information in this section was based on old information and it just wasn't making sense any further.
I definitely think the upper two paragraphs are succinct and it convey what we are saying, trying to communicate.
Yeah, we're
not trying. We are communicating.
So it's okay. I will just remove this whole highlighted pink section then. Okay. Now down to the policy itself.
Yeah,
okay to go up a little.
So I don't think we didn't have many edits this last meeting. It was more about that upper section that we just went through in pink. So this hasn't changed. I don't think we were.
As Tom said, this was mostly just cleaning up, a few comments here and there and nothing huge.
Yeah.
What was that we came across today? We were thinking about, Tom. I had made a comment.
So what we were thinking about is that, so we're talking about the COA as an example, and the thought that, I think in this policy it states that we would only allow the transfer of capacity, the sale of capacity to go from one property to another, should somebody be ready and willing to purchase that capacity. We wouldn't take it back. It's got to be sold to somebody else. I don't think we've done this yet. And Jane and I were thinking today, what is the mechanism for that? How does parcel B purchase capacity from parcel A?
Is that what we're saying here?
I believe that was an intention of it somewhere.
I didn't think that was the intent. I never thought that. I missed maybe.
Oh, here it is, number 5. Let's see what it says in number 5.
Yeah, I thought the intent was for them to give it up.
Users must be available to take over the return capacity to ensure financial stability of the district.
Where does it say that?
That's in the third sentence of paragraph number 5 there, design flow capacity return. No, the second sentence, return of design flow must be supported by evidence revisions and discharges from, okay, no, next sentence. Design flow.
Estimates and others must be available to take over.
Yep.
Oh, I kind of missed that. Can we make that more conditional?
Because what I was thinking,
someone that is going to return 100 gallons per day, and we don't have it. I think we could, same way we take the risk on accepting going over 100. I think we'd want to.
Well, the idea was for billing. If you're going to return it, then we need to receive the money for that. But in the case of the Council on Aging, they have 3,000. Let's say they only need to use 2. That's 1,000 somebody's going to have to buy, and who knows when that might happen, you know?
Well, so they can't. So what you're saying is they can't return that 1,000 until we know who there's going to get it.
Well, right. How about this? How about that we have the option, we have the right to keep them on until the end of the fiscal year, so that we can factor it into the next year's rate setting. I believe it's in the town's interest and the user's interest for people who will never use it to give it back to us, so that we can allocate it to the users. It supports the master plan. It supports everything we're hearing for the last year. Right. And what's going on. So,
but Mike, on past meetings, we said that we were not going to address that concept.
No, I understand that. But here we're going the exact opposite. We are saying if we don't have a user, we're not taking it back. I'm proposing we're going to say we're only going to make these changes at the end of the fiscal year. And I'm asking, and then if it turns out that we need to raise the base rate, maybe we will. I'm just throwing that out on the table. I think this is one extreme. I might be putting out another extreme. I'm concerned over this, that it locks us in. Right now, we are getting more requests than capacity we'll even think we'll have, or people talking about it, more capacity than we think we'll have when we go to full system optimization.
So I guess I'm thinking about being able to manage the number of properties that could potentially be, approaching our office and disputing that they're not using their full design flow allocation, and they want to return, 25 gallons per day because they don't feel they're using that.
Well, isn't it based on no, it's based on the I didn't read it this way. They have to make a physical change to their use. They got to be like the Council of Aging thought they're going to put in 5 full bathrooms, and they're only doing 3. So they know they're not going to use it. It's based on the Title V tables. I thought it was to change in use, not because, look, it's not an abatement.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's a change in use. It's like, say someone tears down a building and builds something that is different and less use.
So maybe there should be a section added where we have reserved design flows, such as for the Council on Aging, when they go to connect, what do we do with it? So, because anybody who's an existing user, they're based on Title V. They should not be allowed to return or come to us and say, I'm not using it, because that opens up a huge problem and nowhere.
It's already covered there because it's tied to the Title V tables. So they got to say, I was permitted for 5 toilets. We built the building. We only have 2.
So here's like 13 Pelham just went from an office to 2 or 3 doctors, 3 doctors. So if it does the reverse and goes back to an office again, they're going to give us back 550 gallons because they don't need it.
If they choose,
we need to get the revenue for that somehow.
But I'm saying we tie it. But I'm saying we can't. We're going to discourage more users because all we'll be able to say is, well, I think someone's going to give back 1,000 gallons, and I think I may be able to give it to you, but I don't know.
We said last few calls that there's a lot of concepts here that we have to digest and kind of like, how is this going to be right up? And what we said is we're kind of kicking that can down the road on how to deal with this returning, and that we would deal with it in next year's. I'm going to call it next year's when we talk about the privilege fee, because we could redo this document at that time. The problem is the Council on Aging
is we're going to be doing, I think, a sewer use application in April for them. So Mike informed us that there's an engineer that may go out and give us a bunch of information and come up with they think is the Title V. Tom and I will review that.
That's to add, though, right? That's for them to add, not return. No, that's going to be the deduct.
Because they have 3,000 right now, and I have an idea. It could be substantially less than that. We don't know yet.
Yeah, they stated that in public forums. That's a fact, Jane. You can report that.
I'm sorry, I can report.
They stated that at the last PMBC meeting that it will be substantially less than the 3,000. It'll be less.
I think 3, so too. So
no, they stated
let's say it's 1,000. It could be 1,500, and they, the way this is written, someone else has to accept that and start paying revenue on it before they can get rid of it.
And how is that going to? That means the other 9,000 that's out there all has to be used, which isn't based. We're getting it both ways. That's why I think we got to come up with a way that's more. Maybe we say that's why I'm saying tie it to all decisions will be made at the end of the fiscal year.
So I just hate to lose out on 1,500 times. What is our rate? 5 something every quarter.
But you're not. You're losing. But you
know what I'm saying?
But we're not. Before we'd be able to do it, we got to have someone who be oversubscribed by 9,000 gallons from what we base the rates on, or 10,000, because we didn't build the 10,000 gallons into our budget. We'll be over by that before we could even consider this. And how long is that going to take?
I don't think we touched the 10,000, but if someone's returning something that they're already paying their quarterly bills on, that's something that's part of our budget.
I understand. That's why I'm agreeing with you. And I'm saying
that
all these changes would occur prior to us setting the next year's budget. But the way this is written, right now, for example, Council on Aging, we say no, because we don't need the capacity. We have 10,500, we have 9,000 gallons to give up.
So you're saying that when for now, they'll have to pay when they connect the 3,000 times our base rate and water use.
They've already paid that. Who are you talking about? The Council of Aging?
Yeah.
They've
but
already
when
paid
we go
that.
to bill them, right now the town is paying that.
Yeah.
But now it's going to transfer over to Council on Aging's budget. So 3,000 times our rate. But what if they come in and we do a sewer use application at 1,500?
So I guess if I'm understanding this correctly, if say just use for instance they came in next month, March, and they seek a reduction from 3,000 to 1,500, that's a known loss in the district's revenue. So what we would say to any applicant that wants to do that, we're receptive to that, but please be known that we have to wait till May or June when we set our next fiscal year rates to accommodate that loss in revenue before we actually allow that return of the 1,500 design flow. Is that what we're talking about?
I think that's what Mike is saying.
That's what I'm saying. But we could temper that based on what Jane's saying. But I don't think we can. The way this is written, the Council on Aging could not give that back until all the 9,000 gallons that's sitting out there, or whatever it is now, is allocated.
I don't think that's part of it. I think the 9,000 is separate. There's no revenue coming in from that. That's how I feel about it.
I know it's the way your budget works, but it's not what this says.
So does anybody have any suggestions on how to change this?
Well, can we just give us more judgment and not be so definitive?
It says case by case, return of the design flow must be supported by evidence, revisions, and discharge from equestrian properties used in Title V tables. Perfect. Okay. Design flow estimates and other users must be available to take over the return capacity. Sure. The district will not buy. So is it just the district will not buy back return capacity within a given, I'm going to say fiscal year, but our year, right? Whatever our year is.
Right.
And so we'll not buy back within that year. Do you just say it like that, Mike?
Well, first they're returning it. We're not buying it. We're not paying for it.
I get it.
And then
we would not approve a reduction in their design flow until the next fiscal year rate model, has reflected their reduction or something along those lines.
And I guess, and we could say, and it demonstrates that this does not significantly impact the cost to all users, something like that.
That's what I'm afraid of too, because if you spread it out into the next fiscal year, it's the cost to all users for a return.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying, but it's not, because we released 10,000 gallons in November. What, 1,500 of it's already gone?
Yeah, I have a number for you.
Yeah. Okay. And
I'll find it later when we get to that.
I know, but so how about that they won't start until the following fiscal year, and that the commission determines it will not adversely impact the rate structure for all users, or something like that. Because I think we can't have it both ways. As I said earlier, we're saying, yeah, we can go 100 so gallons per day. We gave ourselves the flexibility to go over the 10,000. I know we have to be conservative, but well, no, I say either way, let's just make it easy for us. We want to think about this once per year, not unless. It's and.
So the return will not change until the end of the fiscal year unless they're.
No,
so if somebody is available to take it over and pay right away, don't we want that to happen? Or are you worried about the 10,000?
No. Well, you raise a good point. It could be or. It could be and it demonstrates it does not adversely impact rates to all users, or there is a user that will take over the flow.
Does any suggestions on the sentence?
The return of the design flow will not change until the end of the fiscal year, and the evaluation of the impact to other users, or there is a user that will accept. Yeah.
That's what I mean to say, Darren. I think we could put it.
I'm trying to word it without being.
Can we do like A and B or?
Sure.
So I'm not sure what we're saying here right now. The return of the design flow
will not change until A.
Well, is it going to be to the end of the fiscal year, or? And no, then unless or?
No, it's going to be until A.
Until A.
The end of the fiscal year, and it's determined it does not adversely impact the rates paid by all users.
Okay, until the end of the fiscal year, and?
It's determined it does not impact.
Well, I think it adversely, can we temper it a little?
And it does not adversely. To get that right, adversely impact
the rates paid by all users, or B, there's a user will take the flow.
But that right there takes out the end of the fiscal year. So you're willing to do, if there's a user that will take it, we will not wait till the end of the fiscal year. If there's a user that will take it over, it will happen now.
So that's good then, right?
That works for. Thank you. That works for me. What others? Doug, Darren?
Yep.
I think that reads well now. I think that's easy to follow.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then I'm just curious, we may not have to spell it out in the policy, but, are we going to mediate the transfer of design flow from one property to another?
I don't think we could do it. I think that's why I think it's going to be hard. I think you're going to have to know that. I think we can't transfer it. It goes to the pool.
How about if there's any change in design flow occurs, approval from the wastewater commission must be obtained, because otherwise we won't know for billing, or we just can't have people changing their design flow.
I'm suggesting we can't let parties talk to each other. You raise a very good point. Right. Do we need to get the Board of Health to approve this?
I believe we're in charge of all our design flow.
You know what you could do? I mean, we could leave it as it is right now. What is written is accurate, and then over the course of coming months or whatever, that we determine the proper and practical mechanism for all this to occur, and we amend number 5 to reflect that. We could add to it.
Yeah,
give it more detail.
I personally think we do not want to be involved in we don't want to be a matchmaker. Or
agreed. Right. Yeah.
And that's what we said. We were going to wait until a year when we first started this whole thing, right? Was that okay? Let's keep this simple for now, and we'll address the more complex part of how this would go in the next rate.
I'd almost like to say the wastewater commission must be involved somehow, because I'd hate to have someone say, "Hey, I'm just going to trade it to somebody else." Is that what this says right here?
No, that's exactly opposite. We're saying we do not want to allow that.
We'll evaluate the return. Okay, great.
Yeah, your first sentence says
return and yeah, okay.
We'll evaluate the return of the design flow capacity on a case by case. So it has to be evaluated right there.
Good. Okay. Perfect.
Anyone have anything else?
The one was above. Nope.
You want to go up higher?
No, I think we're going down.
We're good.
Yep. That's it. That's the end.
All right.
I know when this goes final that the planning board is looking for it in their consultant beta group.
So at this point, I'll go through it one more time. Is there anything else that you think needs to be changed? I noticed a couple spaces and things we could change, and I'll remove that section. Is this considered final after I make a couple more edits?
I would think so. I have one more edit. If you go to the appendix, just scroll down. Appendix A. Can you put a date on that report? Because there's actually 2 of them.
Yep.
It's the June one. It's a more recent one, right?
Yep, June 21.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Good one. All right, we good with this one? Any other thoughts or sections people want to look at?
No,
so when somebody asks for this, we're giving them the whole document, right?
It's a public document. I'd like to see this posted.
Yeah.
Yep, with the appendices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll add everything.
Definitely be posted.
Do a PDF. And Mike, you'll take care of giving it to any other what do you call it? Departments such as planning board and things like that.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll reach out. They're.
Are we prepared to have the commission vote on this?
I am. Doug.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, we've looked at this sometimes. I'm ready.
Yeah, I move that Jane and Tom finalize it with possible formatting as is.
The document date and so the name of the document.
The wastewater. I move that the Wastewater Management District Commission privilege fee policy and summary of flows as reviewed today 2/8/2023 with final formatting review by Jane and Tom be accepted.
Second.
Second by Doug.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say Doug just seconded.
Mike in favor.
Doug Levine votes aye.
Darren Bach votes aye.
Okay. Woohoo!
Congratulations.
All right, let me write down the time.
It's official.
I know, that was a big one. Stop sharing. Next on the list is sewer use applications. I don't have anything to show, but I have a few things to talk about on that. Okay, so I sent you 2 sewer use applications, and because there's a lot of personal information on there, I didn't want to show them on the screen. But that's typically what we go through and have people sign. It gives the, if there's a privilege fee and things like that, what needs to be paid. It also shows any changes in the property, you know, who owns it, and design flow changes. So we know that, or we've heard that 13 Pelham has, is a new connection, and they were at the $22 because they already had reserved design flow for that space and paid a betterment. So we received $12,100 from them. 356 Boston Post Road is another new connection, but they did not get involved in the betterment. So we charged them for 100 gallons at $65.07. So we received $65.07 from them. It's about $18,000 we have for the 2 of those that will be used towards the small capital list. There are 2 more out there right now that I don't want to mention by numbers, but one will be taking on 1,192 if everything closes properly, new design flow. And the other one will be taking on 100 gallons of new design flow. And the 1,192 will be at $22 a gallon. And the other one will be at $65.07. So in total, if everything happens as stated so far, we will have spent out of the 10,000, 2,142 gallons. So it leaves
how much of that?
Nope. Go ahead, Mike. No, I was going to say of that, sounds like 80% of that, 75% of that was billed at the 22, 25% was billed at 65, somewhere around there. Rough as I heard you numbers.
100, and yeah, I didn't look at those percentages, but yeah, potentially yes.
And 650 of it is signed and done. No, how much of it out of the, how much of that is
signed and done
likely?
Is 550 and 100.
But didn't we already do a that's the
those
first?
Those are the 2, the 13 Pelham and the 356.
Okay. So
when do we go ahead, Mike?
But then we use 9,000. We've been kicking around this number 9,000. Is that kind of an estimate of what we thought was coming? That is left?
That is, I don't know where the 9,000 has come from. But it's, you know, things change. It's fluid. You know, sometimes things happen and they don't. So we're, you know, we knew there was about the 550 and the 100. We knew that was a given. So the other 2 we're just waiting for them to develop, and one could potentially be in March, and the other one Mark is dealing with right now. So,
but being that we're first come first served, technically there's 9,450 gallons available, though it's very likely that another 1,500 of it is going to be locked up any day.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, definitely.
And when do we expect to see the flow from that?
That's a follow-up thing with me. You know, the 13 Pelham is working on the plans right now. So is 356. They're all because they're new connections, working on the plans and things. So flow, you know, when they connect.
Right. So it could be a while.
Can we just clarify something? When we say new connection, are these people that have been paying the base fee and never connected? The
13 Pelham, that is the case, yes.
Right.
They had a certain amount of design flow initially, and now they've increased it because they changed it to a doctor's office.
And So this brings us, I know we talked about it earlier, but the next thing. So that's 550 of it was, they've been paying the base, and then the other one is a totally new. I think based on, once again, the public input we're getting, we need to be very clear on this, that they're not, that 13 Pelham is not a new connection. They're availing themselves of the connection they reserved.
Yes, correct.
Whereas
356
the
was
other one
never paid a betterment or never had reserve design
right.
flow.
And so
the other two are.
So has the Board of Health, how does it remind us then? How does the Board of Health, like getting back to the Enabling Act matter? So this is a test case. We just brought on a new user for 100 gallons per day.
What happens?
Did the Board of Health approve this? Did they say there's a
Nope.
need for it because of no septic or anything?
Well, that is what Mark has created a nice schedule, and he can talk about it in a few minutes if you'd like. Basically, I find out all the information, turn it into a sewer use application, discuss it with Tom, of course. And then secondly, the town engineer, which is Mark, goes through and discusses with the property and he's made a new list that will be used for the documents we need and the type of connections. And I believe Mark, do you want to jump in here? I think he goes out and approves the whole and the everything.
Right. I really thought, I'm going to go through my own notes. Don't they also have to go before the Board of Health?
They may have to on their end. Yeah, I think they do. There's certain health requirements they have to do on their end.
Related totally to sewage. Related totally to Title V.
But they don't have to deal with our Title V. They've actually sent us several emails saying, if you have a question, we'll help you. But otherwise, it's your decision on what to do with the Title V. We really don't want to be involved in that. But that's Title V just for design flow. Title V for actually, putting in new systems. They are involved, and permits have to be received from given to the health department for that kind of stuff. So yes, my sewer use application afterwards goes to health and building, so everybody's aware. And I sometimes call the health department to say, I'm seeing this. Do you guys have any rules and regulations on this that I should be aware of? So, but Mark has this new list, and he's been dealing with the health department. There's certain things health needs and gets involved in, right, Mark?
Correct. Yeah, so that's kind of a work in progress. DPW requirements are basically done. Then we're going to pass it over to the health department and see if they want to add anything to the checklist. But basically, it's a checklist for DPW and the health department. If you want, we can get you, forward you a copy or.
Oh no,
whatever,
I am specifically asking about. I could have sworn when I started on this committee, there was a workflow.
Yep.
And the Board of Health had to bless the connections.
Correct. Originally.
And that's what we've been talking about. Is no one's corrected me for the last two meetings when I thought under the act. So now I feel even stronger that we need to get this in front of the town council.
It was decided long ago, but correct, back before you and when you came, that there was no reason for health to be involved. They were involved originally because it was just me doing there was nobody to do Title V originally back when this was all set up. And then my position was created. And then it was me who had no knowledge of what was going on in this field. So they were doing all the Title V, but they had no real reason to be involved. And then Paul came along, and that was even further need that, to say that they didn't need to be involved.
And I mean, my specific question is, a year ago, we spent time going over I'm giving you half an eye because I'm looking at the Board of Health regs that were updated last year. The regulations for on-site subsurface sewage disposal systems and wastewater treatment facilities, which apply to us.
So isn't this the thing, Mike, that we plan to take to Sherry and kind of go from there?
Yeah, but that's why this is all.
So
that's another thing that needs, Mark, they need to review this Tom, excuse me, they need to review this with the Board of Health regs. because this could read that any change to our system, they need to be involved with.
Yeah, with the Enabling Act and all of those questions definitely need legal. Sure, we might as well have health look, and I would love to have
That's what
Diane
we
Bond.
talked about earlier. So once we get
Right.
that, then we can't,
Okay.
there's nothing more to discuss here.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess I was saying earlier, let's pardon me, attach all pertinent documents so that I can forward that to KP Law. Pardon me. So it sounds like Board of Health regulations would be one of those documents.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just making notes. Are we all set with the sewer use application? Any other questions?
No, I think it's great. It's actually encouraging.
Okay.
Number of applications. Here we go.
Yep. So we did all the monthly operating report. There's one thing I did. It's related to system operation. I just want to give a very quick update on the solar. Is that we are a very small operation, and the two people that have the easy to contract, we're too small for them to consider. I'll follow up with Jane and Tom, some questions about how much we could do without town meeting approval and with not. And I know it's been out there. Jane, if we were to do a new roof, is the earliest would happen would be late fall of calendar year 2023 or late fall of calendar year 2024?
It's not in the budget.
I know. Yes.
So
it would
if
be,
we had,
it would be fiscal 25, which would be
25 is what
the
we talked about last
second.
time.
So the fall of calendar year 24 would be the first time that we could install it.
Okay.
Mike, I saw your email previously mentioning we were too small. Could we actually add some panels onto the land around the treatment plant?
Well, yes, you could, but I think that's stormwater, and I don't know how much that makes even more involved.
Yeah.
And I could tell you based on the other hat that I've worn that the neighbors don't like those.
Okay. Very good. Gotcha.
But I think that with that being out, if the one decision that we'll need to discuss is if we really need a new roof, because it might be too early to start the process because the incentives, et cetera, could disappear by the time we're ready to use them.
I mean, we think we're going to be a little bit tight on our money, but if let's say we don't have to use how much are we talking for a new roof? Well, the town would have to pay for it, right?
Yeah, that's what I get to. We just don't control. I think I'll send a note. We got to figure out who controls what. I don't think we control enough of our own destiny.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
To do that.
Okay.
But it's moving forward. We're small. And that's one of the key, the key questions that is, if we needed a roof, the answer to that question, and at what mile do we, and if we have to enter into a long-term lease, do we need town meeting approval, or could we just do that even if there's no money? And if there's no money involved, could we do something like this without it being in our budget, so to speak?
That's a good question. Tom may know better than me. I thought whenever land is involved, even if no money is involved, because we're talking about this for a potential facility at the middle school in lieu of a field, and it would be just a ground lease for no money to affirm, then it still requires town meeting approval.
Yeah, I think anything over 3 years requires town meeting.
Yeah, we'd be looking at 20 to 25 year lease.
Just over three. Just over three.
Just a few.
Okay. So
financial report.
Thank you.
Okay, the January 2023 financial report, we're at 59% of the year. We have a few expenses that have started coming in for the replacement of the membranes. So we took out purchase orders, which if you go on line 11, line 11, contractual services, under the encumbered balance column, under the fourth one over, you'll see the contractual services now $171,000. $880, $890. See it right there. That consists of white water for membrane install and $142,000 for RH White Company, and that was to install both the membranes. That number is in our budget, but now that we've started to get the invoices coming in for this stuff, I put in the purchase orders. So the month of February, we're going to see a big jump in our year-to-date actual for expenses in those. Under lab testing, there it is, line 13. You'll see the encumbrance balance of $8,169. That's what it costs for ORS water quality to come out and do our water quality testing. And it's been done. I already sent you guys the report. So that's just something, you know, we meet the standards. There was nothing in there, as far as I know, that said that we didn't. And that's part of our permitting says we need to do this. And we took a deep dive into what the permitting said to see if we needed to continue, and it was decided, it spells it out that yes, we do, or else it could cost us a lot more money to hire another company to go out and do it. So this is something that will continue, but that expense will show up in February. For the month of January, it's the same equipment repairs and maintenance, and the vehicle repair are the ones that are over the percentage of 59. Everything else is still under. And then good news, here, this is for Darren, of course, our wastewater user charges. The numbers coming in for Q4, FY23, Q1 and 2. So you can see we're up to 235,000 here. We took in 81,000 in the month of January. So that's great. And if you go down the bottom here, you'll see operating income and losses at 125,000 right now. That's just operating expenses. So, but the expenses up top, the operating expenses are going to come in more and more, and they'll eat away at that. So right. That's high for now. And then if you look over right here on this line 62, you'll see that this column, which is our budget balance, that includes operating expenses as well as capital. And if you go up to the wastewater principal and interest on lines 45 and 46, we're only at 40% of what our billing. There'll be more coming in February and May. So this number should pop up and be at least break even. So yeah, that's any other questions? That's pretty much, so February is going to be a big month.
Right. For expenses
and also betterments coming in, and there'll also be some debt being paid in that month too.
Right. And you're still looking at that ratio. So the ratio is still good though, right? From your variable coming in 428, 235. So that's that operating 261. And then your operating expenses up above 135, but that's why you're showing that exceeding. But that's about to jump next month. Okay. I got it. I know what you're saying. Yep. Which will come in line because you're expecting that not all that 288. So, okay. Yep.
And then on the bottom, the notes, you'll see I have the privilege fees here and that have come in, and it shows how much we billed in the billings, things like that. And then do you want to look at the cash flow schedule? It's not too exciting, but it's up to you, Darren.
Yeah, let's do it really quick.
Let's do it.
All right. So let's see if I can get to. All right, so
yeah,
good.
There's the 81 you talked about earlier.
Yep, so here's your 81. We're a little behind in penalties and interest. The finance department hasn't closed November and December yet, so that number will pop up.
Yeah.
That's the privilege fee, the $6,500.
Where does that sit? Do we get interest on that, or is that just sitting in a?
It goes to our fund balance. And that goes, it's grouped in the town's total dollars. So we get a percentage of what the town has on our money. It goes into one big bank account from the town.
So that's
it's on our books. It's our money, and right. It's in our retained earnings.
But it does throw off. That's what we're seeing there. A few dollars, whatever, unearned on savings. Is that what that is?
Where are you?
Right there.
Interest earned on savings. Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever looked at, Jane, from unplanned expenses, we'll call it, or something came in bigger, but then also we'll call it unplanned revenue in our model, right? Because we modeled this from a certain expense and we modeled this from a certain revenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then keeping track as that as your baseline, right? That's our goal, we'll call it, right? Then with the variance to that, both from an expense and from an income, do you have anything like that? That was not expected.
What's not budgeted is like penalties and interest, the privilege fees.
Right, the privilege fees.
Let's see, I'm trying to think what else is on here. There's several items that are not budgeted for, interest earned on savings, things that are not a known item, that we can budget for. We don't know what interest is going to be and things like that. So unapportioned down here on line 114, betterment and interest. That's when somebody pays off their betterment in advance, and we don't know if that's going to happen.
Right.
So you can see that in July, someone paid off their betterment.
Right. Yep.
So those are things that are unplanned, and we welcome them.
So what we've been talking about, Jane, is we said February. February is the time when we can start looking at the model, right? Again, and kind of like seeing what's happening. And
well, we should have most of all our billings in by then, our user charges. And
so when you say February, it's not this meeting, it's next month.
Correct, because this is really January's information, because it hasn't come in
yet.
You
got to wait one more month. Okay, one more month. Then I want to go in. All right.
Yep.
I will hold off on all my questions that I'm talking here.
And if you want to send them in advance, I can maybe draw up some schedules or send you docs, and you can, look at them more closely if you'd like.
Yeah, I will start putting more effort into the site because I've just been waiting until we get a little bit more data.
Yeah, don't get too excited though.
I won't get too excited.
He can't help himself.
I know, really. All right. So any other questions?
I've been in numbers all day today. So I'm a little number out right now.
So there's our final cash flow, 378,074. That's all items, betterment and everything. So all set with this one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyone else? Hey. I gotta write down times and stuff. 906. Okay, just circling back to that ORS report, they did not provide the PFAS data to us. That's just the routine stuff. So if there's just the discharge to the river, yes. Yeah. I don't think they're going to do PFAS. Do you, Tom? I don't think that's. Well, I just asked because they're not chemical testing. They're just testing what goes into the river. I don't. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we test, periodically. I'm not sure if it's quarterly or semi-annually. We do the PFAS testing, but I don't think it's part of the ORS effort. Okay, I misunderstood. Thank you.
I think we got to vote minutes, Mike.
Minutes.
Yeah, I'm pulling them up, guys. Let's see. There they are.
January 11th.
There they are. Oops. Let me know. Are you guys reading this?
Yeah, I'm just reading it separately, so defer to others.
Same here. I have it off to the side.
Darren, let me know if you want me to move it. I have to say that Tom didn't get to put his little extra into this time. So if you do happen to see something, let me know. The time was short. I did it today, so.
Well, we accomplished a lot in the last month.
Yeah.
That was a 2 hour plus meeting, so yeah. There was quite a bit.
Darren, are you good for me to make a motion?
I am, from what I've read so far, yes, I'm good.
I'll let you finish up.
Okay, scroll down one more. Coming. That's what we talked about. Yep. I'm good.
Okay. I move the commission approve the minutes from January 11th, 2023.
Second.
Did you just second it, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Doug Levine, yes.
Darren Bach, yes.
Mike Gittin, yes.
It's unanimous, Jane.
Yay.
Anything else?
I do have a topic.
Okay.
I'm just writing, I gotta write down the time. So Mike had brought up we're going to update the website, and I quickly touched on it earlier. And what's happened is the DPW department is updating their website. It's a DPW one, right, Tom? Not the water, or
yeah. So there's two sites on the other side, the Public Works, and there's also the Board of Public Works. So I think we've kind of recognized all over that these web pages, they're they have dated material. They don't have more current documents up on the web page. So what we're working through is reviewing the content and also reviewing the format. Through time, these web pages get a little messy, and there's a much better way to actually compile the content, be able to organize it so it's easier for users to find it, to be able to go into different links and different files and all of that. So I think to complement what's going on the DPW and the Board of Public Works page, we would do the same in working with IT for the district's webpage as well. So probably over the course of the next month or two, we have their attention. It takes a little time to be able to review this content and format with them. They go back, they reformat it, update the content, and then I think what you have is resulting a greatly improved web page. So that's the direction that we're going.
if there's certain documents, Mike, or somebody that you think you'd want up there, like we know the groundwater discharge permit, the NEPDs, if there's a list of things you'd like to make sure that are up there, just send it to me and we'll gather the documents and get them ready to also put on the website.
Is that locked down? Is that like something that Jane would have the ability to alter? Is it supposed to be professional staff user friendly going forward?
Yes, it is.
Good.
I wouldn't say it's user friendly, but I do have access to make changes and add documents and things.
Great. Okay. Anything else?
Nope, that's it for me. Oh, we have the calendar.
Yep. So our next meeting is Tuesday, March 8th, 7:30 via Zoom. And so this means that April 12th, unless something changes, we're in person?
We're waiting to hear if it gets revoted to continue with Zoom. Yep. So yeah, maybe in person, it's unknown.
Okay.
Hope not.
I think with us having a small committee and the subjects, I strongly favor this. Thank you, Darren, for finding a hotspot to connect with us.
And if it is March 7th, I'm in Texas.
Yep.
April, March 8th. March 8th.
Texas. Yeah, March 8th, I'm in Texas.
Okay. And then April 12th we have on the list. Do we want to try a May or let's
throw out a May, Jane. Let's do it.
All right, let's see.
Is it April 12th? April 12th, I'm in Nebraska.
April 12th?
Yeah. But that's all right. But again, I can make these. That's a better. This was the hardest one because it was 4:30 here when it started.
If we have to be in person, Mike and I can be in person and Darren can come in remote.
Yeah, because that's a quorum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. That would be great.
Are we talking? I can't do May 10th.
Okay. Can you do a day before or a day after?
Yep, I can do the 9th and the 9th.
Would you mind the 11th? It gives me an extra day of work. The 9th is fine if that works. Does that work for you, Tom? I know you have a lot of meetings.
Yeah, I mean, it does work for me. I just know that staff have to schedule, moderators for all these. And I know that this commission generally meets on a Wednesday, not to say that altering the day of the week will be a deal breaker, You know, so you can, I guess, Jane, you can reach out and talk with
Yep, I'll
the
reach out.
scheduling group or whatever to see
Maybe
whether,
since we're giving him such long notice, we'll be okay for
Yeah.
this week.
The 9th works for me. I think, Doug, I have the same conflict as you on the 10th, but yeah.
School concert.
Yep. Yep.
I'd like the 11th, but if you guys really want the 9th.
No, 11th.
No. When is town meeting? Is that date set yet?
That's a good point, because election is on April 25th. So that means town meeting is the following week. So it's the first week of May, Mike. It is set. I have it in my calendar on the 1st and the 2nd right now.
Yeah,
so we'll be done. It would not spill over into the.
No, it wouldn't go into the following week, because it would be days that first week of May.
Okay. Great.
If it goes an 8th day, we've got problems.
Yeah. We're okay with May 11th then?
I'm good.
That's great.
Thanks, everybody. Tom, good?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay.
All right.
So, wow, we accomplished a lot. Thank you, Jane and Tom and others for preparing this stuff.
Definitely.
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Mike Gittin, yes.
Levine, yes.
Darren Bach, yes.